They crossed an ocean for a fresh start, but in the lawless lands of the American frontier, fate had other plans. The year is 1871. A dusty wind brushes across a desolate train platform somewhere on the edge of the Wild West. Jon Yensen waits, hands trembling ever so slightly. Beside him stands his younger brother Peter, his sharp gaze scanning the horizon. The long years of sweat and sacrifice in America are finally about to pay off. For today, Jon's family is coming. The train whistles in the distance, then screeches to a stop. And through the hiss of steam and clanking metal, Marie steps down. Jon locks eyes with his wife for the first time in 7 years. She smiles, holding their young son Creston's hand. The boy's face lights up when he sees his father. "Papa!" he yells, running into Jon's arms. Jon lifts him up, hugging him tight, and kisses Marie's forehead with tears in his eyes. They're whole again. Peter greets them warmly, but mentions he has business in town and will join them later. So Jon, Marie, and Creston board a stagecoach headed for their new home, unaware that danger is riding with them. 2 men climb aboard. One of them is Paul Delaroo, fresh out of prison. Cold eyes, a smirk that never means anything good. His partner is even more silent, but just as deadly. Jon keeps his guard up, but he focuses on his family. He tells his sons stories about animals in the wild, about hunting trips they'll take together, trying to keep things cheerful. Paul leans forward and offers Marie a drink. She declines politely, but he doesn't take no for an answer. Jon, sensing Paul's temper, whispers to Marie in Danish, "Just take it to keep the peace." She reluctantly accepts. Paul keeps talking, slurring about a woman he once knew. Didn't say much either, screamed though. They killed her folks in front of her. Then he asks for Marie's name. "Her name is Marie," Jon answers flatly. The conversation turns tense. Paul begins to flirt, his hand drifting toward her dress. Jon stops him with a firm warning, but Paul's partner pulls a gun on Jon. Jon stays calm. He leans again to Marie, whispering, "Bite his ear." And she does. Hard. Paul screams. In the chaos, Jon grabs the thug's gun. He yells for Creston to help, but Paul is quicker. He grabs the boy, holding a knife to his throat. "Get out," he snarls, "or he dies." Jon pleads, but the thug kicks him off the moving coach. He hits the ground hard, dust filling his lungs. When Jon finally stumbles down the road, hours have passed. He sees something small lying in the dirt. His world shatters. It's Creston, lifeless, bruised, gone. Jon falls to his knees, cradling his boy and crying into the wind. Further down, he finds the stagecoach abandoned. The driver, dead. One thug, dead. A pistol lies nearby. Jon picks it up and reloads it like the soldier he once was. He sees Paul trying to flee. He chases, cornering him. Paul raises his hands. "I didn't touch the boy. I didn't hurt him." Jon says nothing. A single shot rings out. Elsewhere, a thunder of hooves brings new terror to a nearby town. A gang rides in like they own the place. At the front is Henry Delaroo, Paul's brother, a former colonel, ruthless and feared. He storms into the mayor's office. Mayor Nathan Keene, who also serves as priest and undertaker, greets him nervously. Henry demands answers. 2 of his men are dead. He wants justice. Keene swears no one in town is involved. Henry doesn't care. If the killer isn't turned over by noon, he says, he'll execute 2 townspeople. And if no one is chosen, he'll make it 4. Fear spreads like wildfire. An elderly shopkeeper, Mrs. Borowski, and a disabled man are selected. Mrs. Borowski's grandson, Wojciech, sobs as she's dragged away. Henry executes the disabled man on the spot. Then he shoots Mrs. Borowski, and for good measure, he kills a third right in front of his wife. Jon and Peter, meanwhile, bury Marie and Creston. There are no more tears, just silent, boiling grief. They set off west, determined to find whoever was responsible. They arrive in Black Creek, and their sharpshooting skills begin to attract attention. Whispers spread. The sheriff gets tipped off. Back in town, Henry meets with oil barons. They hand him a fat stack of money. The government has pulled back federal law enforcement from Black Creek. The oil under the soil is worth a fortune. They want Henry to drive people out by any means necessary. Jon tries to sell his land to Mayor Keene, but Keene offers him only half. Jon realizes now that Paul Delaroo, the man he killed, was Henry's brother. Keene warns him that he'd better hide the money. Jon stashes it in his boot. That night, Peter is arrested for fighting a deputy. The sheriff meets with Jon and makes a grim request. Turn yourself in. Your death might buy us time. At dawn, Jon is delivered to Henry's men. Before they drag him away, one of them punches Jon in the face. He's tied to a post in the sun, left to die slowly. Keene visits, not to help, but to steal Jon's boots and the money. Then he walks away, laughing. Peter, meanwhile, is chained up at the jail. But he knows how to talk. He insults the deputy, keeps talking, pushing buttons. Then, bang, he breaks free. Back at Henry's camp, Jon is hallucinating, sunburned, dehydrated. Buzzards circle overhead. Henry returns with Malene, Paul's widow. Jon tells her that Henry killed his wife, his child. But Henry shuts him up with a brutal punch. Malene doesn't speak, but her bruised face tells the story. That night, Henry forces her into bed. He tells her she'll be his queen in New Orleans. Jon barely hangs on. But just as the skies open and rain falls, Peter arrives. He cuts his brother free. They run. 2 of Henry's men give chase. Peter shoots them down, but Jon collapses. He's too weak to go on. Peter hides him behind a rock and rides off, drawing the gang away. The next morning, Jon wakes, desperate for water. He finds a puddle, drinks. But then, he sees it. Peter's lifeless body being dragged by a horse. Malene, meanwhile, steals the oil money and runs. At the train station, she waits nervously. Henry finds her, slaps her. She spits blood in his face. His second-in-command convinces him to keep her alive. For now. Jon stumbles onto a ranch owned by Mrs. Whistler, a grizzled old woman with a shotgun. She almost shoots him, but then lowers the gun. She knows him, and she, too, lost someone to Henry. She feeds him, gives him clean water, and a gun. That night, Jon visits Mayor Keene's house. He forces the mayor into his own coffin and demands answers. The mayor breaks. He admits that Henry now owns most of the land, including Mrs. Whistler's. The next morning, Jon returns to town with a plan. He places the mayor's dead body inside a coffin, bait for Henry. Wojciech starts a fire nearby to lure the gang in. When Henry opens the coffin, the ambush begins. Gunfire explodes. Smoke fills the air. Wojciech climbs onto a rooftop, dousing it with fuel. He's spotted. A thug finds Malene upstairs. Wojciech shoots him, wounding him, but he's too late. The thug lights a cigarette. The entire room goes up in flames. Jon rushes in and sees Malene being dragged out. He shoots the thug in the leg. She's safe. But when he steps into the open, Henry is waiting. The shot hits Jon. He falls. Henry mocks him. But then, a single gunshot echoes. It's Malene. Henry drops dead. Jon and Malene point guns at each other for a moment. But then, slowly, they lower them. No more war, no more blood. Sheriff Malik rides in with backup. He looks at Malene, suspicious. Jon says firmly, "She's under my protection." Malik hesitates, then nods. And as the sun rises over a town saved by blood, 2 survivors mount their horses. A quiet man and a silent woman, broken by loss, but alive. Together, they ride west into whatever future might still remain.